Today we're going to talk about how to update your extruder on your Ender 3. Now it's a little bit more complicated than I'm saying, but hopefully we can figure this out pretty quick. So the first thing that we need to know is we need two different sizes that I know of at the moment, being 2.5 millimeter and 2 millimeter for the actual socket sizes for hex. So to take this off, because these will eventually wear out, I usually replace them on my printers. I don't know if you're going to do the same. So we're going to take the 2.5 and basically remove the actual bolts. Now this might not go together very well, but we're going to be changing it to a metal extruder. So this one is plastic. It usually lasts a couple of months and then breaks, and then people either get rid of the printer because they're frustrated or they just don't know what's going on. Now we may need to actually replace the actual stepper motor down below, but I don't know yet. So let's see what happens. Basically I'm just unscrewing all the parts so I can take it apart, and hopefully this will go back together when I get the metal out correctly pretty quick. Normally I do this not on camera because I usually have failures. So let's see what happens. So the motor is obviously going to fall out the moment we do this. You want to note where the actual plug is on it. But this should come apart pretty quick. I'm just going to take the parts off. Right now I'm using the 2 millimeter hex head instead of the 2.5. So I think we have one more bolt to go and then it's going to come off. Sorry, I'm normally working on this when it's on the actual printer, but the reason I don't do it on the printer right now is so it looks simpler to work with. So I'm going to take that off. I'm going to place this over here for the moment, get all these old screws out of the way, and then I'm going to take out the regular package. So this is actually the Creality version. So I'm going to pull it out. There are directions. Hopefully we can use those directions. If not, we'll have to figure it out. So I'm gonna have to probably cut this open real quick because I'm having trouble opening it. There we go. So here's the actual manual for it. I'll show you real quick what it looks like when I take this apart, because we're going to have to do some assembly. So I'm going to move this off to the side for the moment, and this off to the side, and hopefully I'll remember the orientation of the motor. But as you can see right here, we have the directions on how to do it. So we're going to take out the parts and see if we can assemble it real quick. So there's the arm for tensioning the filament. Then we have the actual piece that we use that goes on top of the motor. And then we have our hardware right here. So hopefully I won't lose any of this, but let's start with this piece right here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to examine these. Sometimes the sizing, which is over to the right, which you can't see right now, will explain what these are, and you can use a wrench or something to sort it out. Or not a wrench, excuse me, a measuring device of some type, usually a ruler. So let's see what we got here. We're going to have a bolt that's going to be 3. 3 over here is M3 by 18 millimeters. So it's probably going to be something like that. So let's just see what happens here. If we put that through, that looks correct. But we also have to put this in, and I'm thinking it's this right here, but it says 7. So 7 says that it's an M3 by 10 millimeters. So of these, I don't see anything except maybe this. So let's take out an actual ruler and see what this is. Let me grab one from behind me. So what we're going to do essentially is measure. That's 10 millimeters right there, or 1 centimeter. So let's see if we can install this, or at least that's not the actual one that we need, because we've noticed that that's the same. So this is M3, this is probably M4. So this one we know what its use is already, and then we know what that is probably for. So let's see if we can figure this out. So 7 is M3 by 10 millimeters. It says there's 3 of those. So we're going to use one of them. And I believe it's going to go through here. It's threaded. Now I'm probably doing this incorrect. So let me get the orientation right. It's going to be right here. So let's see if that actually fits correctly. This is going to have something over it being a spring. So that's probably what we're going to do. So we'll probably stick the spring over this and work with it that way according to what we're seeing here. So let's see. This currently we're probably not going to use if it aligns correctly on the motor. And what I mean is we have the motor already here. So let's see what it looks like real quick on the setup and see if it aligns correctly. So sorry for this. We're going to have to put this here. We're going to put the motor hopefully the way we had it. I may have this backwards depending upon where the actual mounts are. So it may be, let's see if we can orient it correctly. It's going to be oriented this way on the actual printer. So what we're going to have to worry about is if we've got the motor pointing in the right place. So we're probably going to have to turn this 90 degrees. You may have to redo this a couple of times because sometimes I do get the orientations wrong. So let's take this off. Now this is actually going to be the output side. So we know that we can attach this right here. And what we need to know is the alignment of this motor right here. So let's stick this through like so. Sorry, this is moving around. And stick this on here. And it looks like we're pretty good for the filament and the attachment here. So we're probably not going to need to change this motor. So let's finish up this right here. Let me move this over. So as you can see, there's a actual bearing that's going to go right here for tensioning. So to do this, we're going to need number 4, which says that it's M4. So that's going to be probably that because it looks correct. And then we need a washer with a locking washer. So we're going to slide that on here. Then we're going to put it through the actual connection here to the there we go. So you can tension this with one of your tools. Let me see if I've got the right size. So I'm grabbing what's a 2.5 millimeter, and it doesn't look to be turning, so it might be a little bit larger. So let me grab a bigger one here. This one says 2.5, and that's too small. So let's see if this is it. So this one's 3 millimeter, and you don't want to tighten it all the way up because this may not move. So just below where it will not move is the way you want to do it. So we're all set with that. Now we've got to start setting this up. So if you look over here, you can see that there is a number 9. If we look at 9, it's 10 millimeters, and it's this shape right here, which is the V-head type shape. I'm forgetting what the name is right now, but it's a wedge type shape. So let's see if we can set this up real quick. Hopefully I can get this right. I may have to change the orientation again. So we're going to cheat and start with the V shape. Now you can see that it's already cut out right there. So we're going to align it, and then we're going to screw right through. It's going to take me a second because obviously I normally do this when it's on the printer. So let me see if I can get everything aligned with my fingers here and tighten it down a little bit by hand. And then I think it's 2 millimeters. So let me grab the 2 millimeter and see if I can screw this in. This will just make things easier if we can get this in. There we go. So we've got one down. All we have to do is do another corner and it should be good. So sorry this is moving around so much, but I believe it's going to be a 10 millimeter. So let's look over here. We've got a little mark on here. It says where it's going with this red dashed line. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out how to get that in. So I'm going to try and put it in this corner over here, just so I can align the holes. And I believe it's going to be the same size as 2 millimeters. So let's give this a try. I don't know if it's going to go right through right away. We may have to loosen this and move it. So that just fell through, so we know that it's in the right place. So we're going to now tighten it up real tight right here. And now things should be easy because you can see that this motor is mostly aligned with where the filament would be, and it's only 1.75 millimeters thick. So we're good there. Now we need to set up the tensioning arm, which is going to drop in right here. And we're going to drop in the spring as well, but we need to put the tensioning on this side, which is going to be probably this large one right here as we're running out of pieces. So I'm going to tighten this down just a little bit. I'm then going to put this little cover in here. So let's see if we can do this real easy. Obviously, it's not working out as easy as I thought. This is currently a 2.5 millimeter that I'm turning for the hex wrench. So this is where it gets weird. We're going to have to put this cover on. I may have to lift this off for a second. Put this here. Sorry, this is moving around. Let's do this again. Whoops. As you can tell, I'm trying to do this from a really weird angle. Normally I'm above it. So I'm going to stick this here, hold that with my finger, try and get this piece in here, and then push the spring down so I can get this right here into the hole. Once we're in the hole, we're going to have a much easier time. So let me see if I can push it forward. Sorry, it's not as easy as you think from this angle. Normally from above, this should be easy. Let's try 2.5 millimeters. There we go. So this is now screwing down no problem. You can see that we have the tensioning set. So if you need to tension this for your filament when it goes through, what you're going to do is tighten over here, and this will change the tensioning of your actual device by pushing this piece forward. So your filament should flow right through here with this and then come out here. Now obviously I'm not on the printer, and I did make a mistake right here where I didn't put this bolt in yet. So let's see if we can cheat and push it all the way through. Of course I pick up the wrong size here. So let's do the 2.5 millimeter hex wrench, and I'm going to move it all the way in for the moment. and see if I can get this bolt in. Otherwise, I have to extract this and do it again. So I believe the size changes back down to 2 millimeters with this one. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to take that out. So give me a second here to pull this out. So essentially we're gonna have to extract this bolt. Hopefully it'll stay together. If not, we'll take it apart and then we'll put in that piece, being this rocker arm. Normally when you do this on camera, it's not as easy as you think. Okay, so gingerly, we're gonna take this out, hoping that it doesn't come apart on us. And we're gonna grab the bolt, which is stuck over here. Give me a second to extract it. It fell into the frame of the printer, so I need to get it in a position where I can work with it. So here we go. Now we'll take the 2 millimeter again and torque this down. There we go. And then the final part is here, where you put it on. Now, if you have a more modern printer, because this one is actually, I believe, from the V1 that I'm trying to update, you may need to extract your actual extruder little gear here. There'll be screws in it. This one doesn't have screws. I believe they soldered it on or Loctited it, or used Loctite, pardon me. So I'm just going to screw this back in to give it tensioning. And then you can adjust as needed on your printer. Now normally this will be connected to the printer, and this is the lock that holds your actual PTFE in place. So you'll slide it into here. Let me see if I can show you real quick here, like so. And that should go in about 20 millimeters, maybe a little bit less, and then it will lock. To unlock it, you can pull this, you push both these sides in, and then it pops right out. Now, tuning this printer should be pretty easy. I've shown in live streams how to do it. It's mostly at the end of the live stream, but you should be able to enjoy it. At this moment, though, I'd like to thank my patrons and people on PayPal for their continued sponsoring of these videos. And of course, I'll put in the link in the description what the parts are that are required, and then I'll put up on Patreon where you can get these parts. So everyone, thank you very much. Take care and be safe.